Hi, welcome to Pop Chat. My name is Annette Tarpley. I'm the host and the founder of the Passion of Poetry. And today I'm very happy. Joining me is Aaron. Aaron R., the poet, and you are from Virginia as well, aren't you, Aaron?
Yep.
Yeah. So coming to us live from Virginia today. No, I'm sorry. I'm at the beach actually.
No, you're not at all
So
right.
in North Carolina at the Outer Banks, and
hmm
and you are in Virginia.
I'm in
Where,
Virginia, so I'm
where do you
holding.
live in Virginia? Where is
I'm
it?
in Northern Virginia. I'm
Okay.
actually from Hampton, Virginia originally, but
Yeah.
guess I moved my way on up north, so that's where I
Yeah.
am now.
Very good. Very good. So I ran across you on, I think, Facebook somewhere, and I thought you were marvelous.
Thank
And
you. I appreciate it.
you're welcome. And very talented. And so I thought, wow, gotta have him on. So I appreciate your agreeing to come on, and should be entertaining hour that we present to people. And I'm excited to hear more of your work.
hmm
So tell me a little bit about you, and what I want to know is, I'm going to give the stage to you in just a second, but I
Sure.
don't usually read people's bios or introduce them. I usually have them do that themselves. I think it goes more smoothly. You know about you, and it's not like me reading from a scripted prompt. So if
hmm
you could tell us a little bit about you, when you got into poetry, what you do with your poetry, anything else about your life you want to divulge. I'm going to give the stage to you, and you can introduce yourself.
Yeah, sure. Well, yep, I'm Aaron R. the poet. Like I said, originally from Hampton, Virginia. Now I'm in Northern Virginia, a few miles away from DC. I think my poetry journey is kind of an interesting one because I didn't really know much about poetry. I've have an older brother who, when we were probably like, I don't know, I was maybe six, so I guess he was like 7 or 8. And we used to make this little had this little keyboard that would make little beats and have a little rap group. And mainly him and his friends, I guess that's what we thought was rap at the time, would just record things. So I think as I started getting older, I started, identifying with a lot of the similarities in poetry and rap, which are, mainly rhymes and the way that you construct the poem and things like that. And I don't think I ever really said like, all right, now I'm going to branch out. But I can remember in school, like grade school, teachers giving us writing assignments in English, like write a poem about this. And for me, it was like, oh, cool. This is just something that I would do with my brother and just come up with different ways to rhyme the words. And I think once I got to college, there were open mic nights. So I was like, oh, great. Same type of concept. And so it was just one of those things that as I started to do more and started to meet more people who were poets and identified as spoken word artists, I guess we can kind of talk about a little bit of the difference of that later on in the show. But it was just something that was always in me. So I think that more recently in my poetry journey, the Food Agricultural Organization had a World Food Day poetry competition. I think this was in 2018, and I ended up writing a poem called Hunger Pains, which ended up winning first place. And I got presented with that award in DC, and that led to some other opportunities like being a poet in residence at the Capital Area Food Bank. So there was a lot of initiative there on stopping world hunger, um, which there still is. That's one of the things that I think I'm passionate about in my poetry, is not just talking about stuff that rhymes, but also talking about real issues: mental health, hunger, homelessness, domestic violence, depression, feeling suicidal. There's no bounds. I feel like it's part of my responsibility as a poet to talk about these things that other people may not talk about. And so, anyway, after winning that award, that was just kind of like, all right, I'm here now, type of thing. Where like, oh, I belong, I guess, in my own mind. So now my initiative, or I guess my brand, is called Poetically Correct, which is just something that I came up with. And a lot of what I was just talking about, just writing about those different topics and social justice or injustice issues, is important to me. But I think around maybe 2017 18 or something like that. I was just having these thoughts about how words have such an impactful meaning, but what if I could put videos behind it? So I started learning how to create my own, what I call poetry videos or poem videos, where, whatever topic I'm talking about, you can kind of see it like you would like a movie or something. It just rhymes. And I started doing that, and it just kept evolving, and then just different ways that I want to try to reach people. I think, especially in the day we live in now with technology, not everybody is able to just sit down and listen to somebody behind the mic. Sometimes you need something creative. So sometimes I've added music to my poetry. And then I know you've done videos and stuff too. So you just know like the impact. It's a difference in hearing something versus actually seeing it. And so those are things that I've just tried to continue to grow on, continue to try to promote other people. And I think that's pretty much where I am currently now.
Yeah, it's great. I think that that really does make a big impact when we put our stuff to videos or show it in a different forum. I don't know about you, but I have asked, I don't know, probably hundreds of people by now, do you like poetry? And most of them say, no, not really. And so I say, but you do. You like music, and that is,
Yeah, yeah,
music, songs are music to, poetry to music. So, and I think that life is poetic, right?
mhm,
There's so much just about life that is poetry emotion. And I think that sometimes they don't understand it. You talked about rhyming earlier. And when I first started out, everything had to rhyme. And
mhm.
I don't always do that now. I do a lot of lyrics, and of course, those rhyme. But some of my most creative poetry have been things that maybe don't rhyme. And so I think that there's a broad spectrum of poetry that exists in many realms. And maybe to those people who don't like the rhyming part of it,
Yep.
and you said something earlier, maybe you can expand on that a little bit. And that was you spoke about poetry, and you also said something about spoken word artist. And so I want you to maybe explain to people if there's a difference, what that difference might be between the poet
Yeah,
and the spoken word artist.
sure. And I think kind of like you were touching on with like the rhyming thing, but I think more spoken word artists is like performance, um, stage presence, like how you articulate certain words, versus I think that that's the distinction I draw. Like I think poetry can just be, you pretty much reading whatever you wrote or what somebody else wrote without really it mattering on the different cadence or how you say it or your performance. And I think a spoken word artist as more of like performance type poetry. Um, and I
Right.
think that's kind of the biggest difference that I've seen. And you're right, I've gotten myself into trouble in like groups on Facebook because I'm like, the poems have to rhyme, and people are like, I hate rhyming poetry, or that's not really poetic. And you're right, there's no one way to do it, and I think that's art, right?
Mhm.
There's what one person thinks may not be that interesting, another person thinks is the best thing in the world, and so I think that's what makes
Mhm.
everybody's stuff unique. But I think for me, and what I would classify it as or categorize it as would be more of like the rhyming,
Mhm.
spoken word versus just, I don't want to say just, but versus reading something I wrote.
Right, right. Yeah, I think I like that everyone has their own unique style,
Hmm.
and it's always interesting to listen. There's been a couple times through the years that I think I've written a couple of things years ago, and somebody would say, "Well, I think you should have said this, or this should have been worded whatever way." And it's like, no, you don't take that away from an artist because, if I change it according to your specifications, it is no longer mine.
Right, it's
Now it's
theirs.
yours. Yeah, now it's yours. So, everyone just needs to let their creativity shine, and it is what it is. It's their
Yeah,
own style, their own technique. It doesn't make it right or wrong or, things like that. So, and I'm always excited at the complexities and the ingenuity of poets and their ability to manipulate words into, this word art that we have, and emote emotions and so forth.
Hmm.
So I gave you an assignment. Did you do it?
Yeah, I did actually.
Um,
Did you
I'm
do
kind
your
of
part?
excited to hear it, actually. I
You
kind
did
of did
yours too,
mine
right?
well, as I usually do. At the last minute, I haven't proofed it. It was just kind of hurry up and do this and then do the video for this. I'm kind of on vacation, so I was kind of waiting until, even though I give myself time. So I did do something, and
Yeah,
I'll read it when it comes time, but it'll be what it is. But
yeah, yeah.
I'm very excited to hear yours. So what I did was I asked you to come up with a title, which is
What's my purpose?
a great title, by the way. It's a marvelous title, and I'm so excited to hear yours. But I'm going to give the stage to you. If you would like to share that with us, I would really love to hear it.
Sure. And yeah, and that was a great prompt. It was like just come up with something. I'm trying to think why I even thought about that as a title, but it came to me. So here we are. What's my purpose? What is my purpose? Is it all worth it? Will my words ever be left deserted? Will I ever make a difference? Will my poetry hit those targets as they were intended? Did I make someone else better? Did I make someone else worse? If this was a poetry letter, would it be a blessing or a curse? Did I tell it how it is and not how they want it to be? Was I being somebody else or was I just being me? Did I end it in time? Did I write for a finite amount of time? Did I pretend that it would be divine? Infinity to last until I'm long gone away? Did my poetry amount to something that people can relate? Do people think of me when they think about poetry? If they look up to me, then my purpose was exactly what it's intended to be, somebody that they remembered and not just a distant memory. That's my purpose.
Excellent. Loved it. That was great. Thank you for doing that and for
Thank
taking
you.
that on. I love when people do that. We have one message from Kelly Owen, who is a friend, a poet friend of mine. Hey, Kelly, from the UK. Marvelous,
Awesome.
marvelous poet, and brilliant in her own right. She comes up with some clever stuff. She'll do kind of nursery rhyme kind of stuff and rewrite it to that cadence, and it's great to watch.
Yeah, yeah,
Kelly, love you, girl. Glad that you joined us today. She
yeah.
said she can't stay long. She's got somewhere else she needs to go. But thanks for joining us, Kel. And we have someone else that said, I don't know if you know who this person is, Jerome
That's
Francis,
great.
who
Appreciate it.
was great. So thank you very much for joining us, y'all. And if you would, this will be posted on YouTube afterwards, and you can share it as well. And people can get to know Aaron.
Did you
And
say some people don't do the writing prompt challenge? Or
most
did
of
they
them
say like
do,
no?
but there has been times recently where they just haven't taken it. And I love when they do it. There's been times where a couple times where I've done this thing with a couple artists where we have come up with the poem on the spot. You
Hmm.
do a line or two, I do a
Yeah,
line,
yep.
and I love doing that. It's not something I'm used to, but
But
it's
yeah,
kind of this
right.
off the cuff fun thing. Yeah, so it's actually. Could you do that?
Yeah, I could.
Well, we'll see what we got time for today.
Yeah,
But
deal.
so mine does not rhyme. I decided not to rhyme. I kind
That's
of went
okay.
introspectively. I'm trying to pull it up on my computer and see if I can get to it. Let me see. And of course, it's called "What's My Purpose?" And I did not proof this, so there might be some stuff in here.
No judging over here.
The no judgment zone, right?
Yeah.
No. What's my purpose? I looked up at the moon one night, mesmerized by the soft glow it emitted. The moon flanked by a myriad of dancing stars in the celestial sky where they had cohabitated since the inception of their existence. There is life in their light, and the reminder that that existence exists beyond this earthly realm. What is the meaning of life? Why do I exist? But at the crest of my conundrum, what's my purpose in my journey in life. I'm a staunch believer that everyone has value, importance, and purpose. Yet, as I ponder, reflecting upon my own purpose in this life, I look at the core of my beliefs. Despite the many hats that one wears, what concepts do I hold steadfast to? What message is it that I would like to leave in my absence? My reflection always comes back to the same thoughts, that above all that I have done, and those things that were left undone, that kindness and love were at the core of my existence, a roadmap to my purpose. My purpose was to bring a smile to a face, especially those who struggled on their journey. I pray that my love and kindness was able to bring joy to another, to touch them with the goal that their importance was acknowledged and that they matter, hoping that they too can reflect and know their own purpose. As I exit this realm, I know that the inner light of us all emits a glow that can far outshine the celestial light of the heavens in a harmonious blend of dance in the choreographed steps of life.
Mm.
And the ended piece.
Wow. And you said that was unedited?
That was unedited off the cuff. I did it in about 10 minutes. So, so yeah, I mean, it's, you know, it is what it is. I'm a pretty fast writer. Once years ago, I had a poet from India call me. He was like an educator, a professor at a university. And he was like in class. He had his students around him. He called me up and he said, I told my class that you could write in 5 minutes, do something in 5 minutes. And I was like, really? So I did it, you know.
Yeah.
But it was kind of like I was kind of put on the spot, and it was like, okay, so 5 minutes, I'll give
I
you
think
something.
I think too. I think did you tell me that or did I read up on that? Like you saying that's usually how long it takes you. Like it doesn't take you that long to write.
Well, it usually takes me more than 5 minutes. I would say on average about 15 to 20 minutes. I very rarely go back and change things. I just,
Yeah.
you know, sometimes I might, but I usually don't. I just kind of let it be what it is, you know, at that moment. And I don't know. So how long does it usually take you? Do you mull over it for a while, or how do you do yours?
No, and like sometimes it's one of those things where if I don't have it,
Yeah.
I don't have it. Like so, but then there's other times it's just like like a faucet, like overflow. Just when I have it, 5 minutes,
Yeah.
10 minutes. I mean,
It's a great release, though, isn't it? Do
yeah,
you go back
yeah,
and
it
edit it?
is.
You just put it out there and that's it, or do you go back and
Yeah,
mull
no,
over?
I never change it. Whatever I write down for the moment is what I use, unless it's something like trying to think of an example of something I may change. Like maybe it's a topic that I don't think is relevant anymore, or a situation that is past now.
Yeah.
I may something like that, or something I may say, yeah, that may be a little too harsh to say. Let me change that part. But most of the time, I don't really reread it to like
Mm,
edit it. Once I write it, that's it. And then the only other
mm.
time I'll say it is when I have to perform it, or if I'm turning it into something. But
When you perform, because I think one of the videos maybe I saw was maybe you performing on a stage. Was there one like that?
yeah, mhm.
Okay. I was wondering, when you perform, do you memorize that piece? Do you read
Yeah,
how you yeah, which is hard. I probably only have
yeah,
a handful of poems I've memorized. Memorizing is difficult.
it is. And
Yeah.
that's probably one of the things that I don't want to say prevents me, but I have to take into consideration when I'm doing like a performance or show, because I don't like to have to rely on a paper or my phone or something, because I think it just distracts me from being able to deliver the message in the way that I want to deliver it. So
Yeah.
it's a little bit difficult when I have to do it on a way where I have to remember 4 or 5 poems,
Yeah.
depending on how many I'm doing. So yeah, I think that's a big part of what my preparation process is when I'm going to do any type of open mic or performance or anything like that.
Kelly Owen had said that she's memorized hard, not just time consuming. Yeah, I wish I could retain. I'm
Mhm.
getting older, so my ability probably to memorize pieces isn't as good as maybe once would have been. It's repetition, isn't it? It's just
Yeah.
trying
Yep.
it over and over and over and performing over and over and over again. And there's been a couple instances. And one time I was getting interviewed by like a TV Emmy award-winning anchor, and he also was a Hollywood actor, and he was interviewing me, and I was going to recite a poem that I had memorized by heart. It had been a while since I had, done it, and it was
Hmm.
kind of off the cuff, impromptu that I was going to do it, and I got into the beginning, and I just lost my way, and so he said, "That's okay." It was kind of, but
Yeah.
it was kind of
I've been
embarrassing
there
me.
too.
Yeah, yeah. So if you're up there on stage and you kind of forget, what do you do? Do you ad lib
We
or
just Yeah, just screwed. I mean,
yeah,
yeah, or end it, or depending on where you lost it at. Um,
yeah,
I've had it both ways where I've, like you said, just completely blank,
yeah,
and I couldn't do anything but just
yeah. Do
thank
you
you.
would you ever like, because I've thought about, those times when you try to memorize it. Do you ever have like the written form right there in case you do stumble? No. Oh boy, that's
I'm
really,
just thankful to God for those experiences. And I think the hardest one for me was I was doing this poem called Free, which is about domestic violence. And I
mm,
had one of my good friends in the audience to record it because I wanted to do part video of like people acting out the situation and then part of it flashing to me performing it. And
yeah,
so I'm at this open mic, and not only are like what you're saying is like, oh crap, I gotta remember this, but also I can't mess this up because this is supposed to be my video, and I can't, tell my friend, hey, clip that part out, or hey, audience, I'm gonna
yeah,
re-record this. But that was one of the most. It's very nerve-wracking for sure, and
yeah.
I think in that one I can tell in the video where there were times where I was trying to catch it, and I can just tell because that's another thing. Is like a lot of times when you're up there, nobody knows what you're supposed to say. So I
Right.
think that's the comfort. Like if you just end the poem abruptly, they'll just be like, "Oh wow, it ended." And so some of the stuff that
That is true. It's new. They don't
yeah,
know. They don't know, do they?
right. So some of the stuff I've done is like slow down my words or maybe repeat a line again
Yeah.
to try to catch it, and hopefully that works. But yeah, it is a lonely place to be when you're up there and you forget everything, because I think it's even more, it would be more, I guess, maybe embarrassing or whatever the case you have if I had to say, oops, I forgot it. And then wait, let me grab my phone and,
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
you got to pull it out and type your password and find it and scroll up and all of that. So that's the other thing. I think if you don't really know it, you should just read it, or have
Yeah.
your device for backup. Like you said, I was just lucky and fortunate and grateful that that didn't happen to me, but I definitely have been there, and it's not a fun place to be.
I think that I'm used to doing things online, as far as recitations and so forth. And when I went back to Iowa, where I'm from, maybe a couple of years ago,
Mm-hmm.
I looked up and see if there was any poetry events, and they had an open mic type thing at a place for poetry. It was, spoken word artists and so forth. And it was kind of a slam thing. Do they call them slam?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
And I had never done it, and I was so nervous, and I'm not usually nervous. And I was just, I mean, they were marvelous, and I felt like, and they had people, rating you. They hold up their
Oh,
little
giving you a
number
score.
sign, like 1 on 10. I can't remember what I got. Not as good as some of those people, but they were used to doing it, and they were just so good at it. And so when I was spoken word artist is a proper, verbiage to use for what it is, because it is real artistry when you can get
Mm-hmm.
up there, and because it's a performance.
Yeah.
It is, yeah. And speaking of performances, I want to hear more of yours. Is there any way you could I can give you the stage, you can do a couple pieces for us?
Yeah, sure. I've got tons. So how many you want me to do?
Why don't you do, are they, how long are they? Are they shorter ones? Are they longer ones? What are they? It
Um,
doesn't matter. I
yeah,
mean,
about 2 minutes or 3 minutes.
well, do about three, and then we'll
Let's see
come
where we
back and we'll
go.
talk, and then we'll do some more later. So.
Okay. So, I'm trying to think, yeah, where should I start? But this is a cool one, I think. This one is called Homographs. I thought this was a cool poem because homographs are like different or same words that have like different meanings. Like you'll kind of see as I get through this. So hold on, hold on. Like when light first appears and you want to hold on. Poetry in progress. Learn not to be satisfied, so I continue to progress. I'm content with my content. I present in the present and proceed to give you proceeds attributed to God's attribute. Conduct myself with such a conduct. Loud noise on impact can't really measure my impact. I don't take any offense to being on the offense. My poetic compound uses words that are compound. Insert myself into this insert. I refuse to let people think their stuff is great when it's really refuse. Tried to be perfect, but if not, perfect my craft. Poetry in different color, mine is in a different contrast. The way I do poetry in contrast. My penmanship is my permit that permits. I suspect that I'd be the number one suspect. Others had the opportunity and default. I should be the number one pick by default. Wind up winded and wounded for getting wound up. Don't know why favorites get upset when they get upset. Should have used that energy to object when you lose your object. Project our feelings through outside views of the project. Drop the pin for your address so we can address the situation. I don't need you to console me on this console. The R is for rebel because I rebel. I did my research and ended up having to research. Using poetically correct, you don't need a refund. You'll be so impressed, you'll be willing to refund. Thought I was minute for a minute. I'm inclined to incline these rhymes of mine. Poetically correct time. Aaron are the poet, homographs, and I just showed it. Now you all know it.
Love it, love it, love it.
So yeah, that is homographs. That's one of my favorite ones. Let's see. This one is called Respect That I Deserve. Don't complain that you got sick when you decided to drink the milk that expired. Don't complain that the game ain't the same when you're the one who decided to retire. I don't expect people to recite my poems word for word, but I definitely expect to get the respect that I deserve. They don't want to save you even if you're Christian. They don't want to give you a well even if you're wishing. And you can forget having bait if you ever start fishing. Not enough accountability, way too much. I had something else to say, but that's way too much. How often do I think about what people should be doing? Way too much. How often do people support what I'm pursuing? Not enough. How often do they listen when my poems drop? Not enough. How many videos have they watched? Not enough. How many t-shirts have they copped? Not enough. Don't complain that you got sick when you decided to drink the milk that expired. Don't complain that the game ain't the same when you're the one who decided to retire. I don't expect people to recite my poems word for word, but I definitely expect to get the respect that I deserve. They have me strapped in and I'm trapped, but I'm insecure, trying to battle feelings of being insecure. These are the type of things real men endure. Remember when life was really pure? Simple way to engineer victory. It took a village to raise a child, but now the village is our enemy. Genuine care about each other, but now it's whatever you pretend to be. We replace love and care with jealousy and envy, and can't take criticism because who are you to tell me? If we took time, we could learn from mistakes of our past because we made plenty. You've heard plenty of poems before, but never met a poet like me. A prophet has honor everywhere else, but in his own town, he's a big mystery. Don't complain that you got sick when you decided to drink the milk that expired. Don't complain that the game ain't the same when you're the one who decided to retire. I don't expect people to recite my poems word for word, but I definitely expect to get the respect that I deserve.
Love it. Fingers snapping. But I can tell you that when I snap my fingers, I never make a noise anyway. So, need to get some kind of a fake finger snapping thing.
Yeah.
Okay, give us another one.
Okay. Here we go. This one isn't as long, but this one is called Last Dance. I keep saying that I keep telling people I think that I'm the best. And I think that I'm talking to an audience that's deaf because they haven't seemed to understand that yet. But yet I've begun the inner pressure of becoming number one, next to none. And it will be achieved through originality and consistency. You see, I can't be replaced. I mean, even AI doesn't have this type of poetic taste. It can't be erased or taught unless given by God. When it's God given, it's no human measuring rod. Above your understanding, I'm above reprimanding. Smoke cleared, and guess who's still here standing? I write so fast, people think that I'm spamming. One thing that I can't stand is people who make no sense, just loud noise like a cannon. Promote the difference of opinion. Suspended license, poetically licensed, suspended. Can't be timid or you wind up upended. I have poems tucked away for a rainy day, and that's the main difference. Class is ended because I ended with class, your last dance, but do you remember who you danced with last?
That was great. Snap, snap,
Thank
snap,
you.
snap, snap,
Thank
snap,
you. I
snap.
appreciate it.
Yeah, you're amazing. Your work is amazing, and it's great to hear you.
Thank
So
you. Thank you.
now, do you have a lot of places? I think in Northern Virginia, you probably have more opportunities and places to perform, maybe than where I'm from. Do you have a lot of
Yeah.
venues to perform at?
Yeah, but I think Busboys and Poets is one of the most, I guess, famous ones. They
Mhm.
usually have a lot of different open mics in all over the DMV area, like some in Arlington. There's a few in DC, Hyattsville, Maryland. So those are a lot of the places that I would generally frequent, and they have
Now,
different
is the
nights.
Busboy and Poets thing, is that a standalone venue? Is it always there and that's what its purpose? Or do they kind of take on a place that already exists and, have a poetry?
Yeah, it's like a restaurant,
Mhm.
bookstore type
Yeah,
venue, but it also has like a space for open mics. So I think each one has a different open mic night, like day of the
yeah.
week. So other than that, though, no, you can't. I don't think you can just walk in there and just do it unless it's the open mic night. So
Yeah. See, I would really love, like they have comedy clubs, and those are comedy clubs, right?
just that.
That's all they do. And that's what I hope someday poetry will have is standalone places. That's the purpose. That's what they do. People come in and see it. I would love if that would happen. That and one day I want there to be a poetry cruise.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I wanted to also have a poetry kind of retreat and getaway where we rent some big place and all meet together, and I'm hoping that will happen sooner than later. But I just think that the way that we're going to get out there is for us to go ahead and really let it hang loose. I did an interview once with a poet who, she did it on the streets, like you would see, street musicians.
Yeah.
And I think that's cool. And
Yeah.
I had this story where I decided I was going to do that. I was traveling on the road and I stopped by a rest stop and I went to the restroom and there's two women in it. And the little voice in my head, no, I'm not schizophrenic. The little voice in my head was saying, recite a poem. And so I go out there and there's these two ladies standing there and I said, I would like to recite a poem for y'all today. And the one lady hurries and washes her hands and takes off, And the other lady gives me her full attention. She was very attentive. And when I finished, she said, she must have been a minister. She says, I think I'm going to put you in my Sunday sermon. I'll call you the bathroom poet.
So, bathroom poet.
Bathroom poet. It's the only time I ever did it. I listened to the voice,
That was the only time?
That was the only time. But
I mean.
Now, there are times when people come up to me, approach me, you're in your car and they come up to you and they want money and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I don't give it anymore unless they listen to one of my poems or my songs. I say, yeah, I'll give you some, but you have to listen to this. I make it a little bit more painful for them.
That's a good idea right there. I haven't thought about that. That's a good one. Yeah. I had somebody who I was during the pandemic. I was doing these like poetically correct contests where I would find different poets from all around and I had them do a contest and the winner got like prizes and stuff like that. And one of the really good ones was talking about he used to be homeless and would do poems for money. And I think that was a lot of his story.
Yeah.
So I could see that too. Just in terms of you talking about just doing it out in public and stuff. And I think too, that's another reason why I started to do these poem videos. And probably as you've seen, I'm always posting stuff in all of these groups and Instagram and TikTok and Twitter or X or whatever it's called, wherever you need to, because I felt like like we were talking about me standing in front of you saying a poem is not the same as you being able to like see a video of it being acted out. And then the other part of that was I can only reach a certain amount of audience because like you were saying, if you don't know about open mic night, you're never going to hear me, like I could go 10 Thursdays in a row. And if you were never in the area, then I'm just talking to like the same group of people. So I think the other part was trying to figure out what is another way that I can present myself or this message in a creative way. Because I think, like you said earlier, some people are like, well, I don't like poetry. And they don't even really know what poetry is. And so I think a lot of people would say like, oh yeah, poetry, it could be boring. You're just standing in front of an audience, talking in front of a microphone. But then if they see something that's more captivating and it's like, oh, this was about a relationship and oh my gosh, it rhymed. And oh, this character was so cool. How you use this, I related to it, or however it is, kind of like how we do with soap operas or, Netflix episodes or series. We get into them. And I think that's kind of the way is what are other creative ways we can get people to get into this type of category without it having to look the way that it's perceived to look.
Yeah, I think, a big thing for me is always wanting to promote poetry, making people more aware of it. I think that we somewhat fail a little bit within maybe the academic arena as far as I don't think the kids know so much about poetry. I think it should be, well taught and so forth in school. And then maybe appreciated more. But as you know, if you published, that very few poetry books really make any money because it doesn't usually sell. And I think a lot of it has to do with the ignorance, the lack of exposure. people's misconceptions about poetry,
Hmm.
and that they don't realize that just as there's many genres, whether it's entertainment as far as TV, movies, music, whatever it may be, there's a bit of that that goes on in poetry as well. So people can find their fit, as
Yeah.
far as they're wanting to like it and so forth. One of the
Yeah.
questions that I ask almost everybody that comes on here is this. I don't have my little prompt today. That's at home, but my prop, I should say, which I shouldn't use anyway because it's kind of cheesy.
So,
But one of the questions I ask is, tomorrow you run across Aladdin's lamp and you are granted three wishes. What three wishes would you wish for? Doesn't have to be, it can be anything you want. It can be something selfish, whatever, I mean, whatever you want. What would you wish for?
world peace, elimination of the need for money, and not wisdom. The wisdom part would be for me. So I want it to be like world peace, no more need for like finances wouldn't be an issue for anybody. And then I would selfishly, I would take like an increase in wisdom.
Yeah, yeah. And I think wisdom is, well, you're wise even by your writing. So I think
Thank
that
you.
as writers, we kind of are observers of life and are able to convey that with words, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So isn't there power in writing? You were talking earlier about, I think when you began, a certain responsibility that we have as
Yeah.
writers.
Yeah.
And not long ago, maybe a year or so ago, a little over a year ago, I had a couple open forums. We had one week, and we decided we need to have part two of it, and so we did one the second week. But it was an open forum where we came here, and there were a few select poets, and the
Hmm.
discussion was poetry and our responsibility as poets. What
Hmm.
responsibility do we hold as people who are conveying through our words? And I think I really like that as poets and writers that we don't have constraints, really, do we?
Right. We
Mhm.
should not.
No, yeah,
Because I've heard people say, well, I can't, like what is we shouldn't talk about this. And I
right,
always feel like, no, we absolutely should talk about it.
yeah,
And I think
yeah,
that's a thin line that I kind of dance around sometimes, like I was saying earlier, when I'm like, this may offend the wrong, like, this isn't my intention. Should I change it? And then on part
right.
of me, it's like, no, I shouldn't change it. Like, this is exactly how it should be. And I think there's so many, which is another reason why I call my thing like poetically correct, because there's so many things that we have to be politically correct about. And especially nowadays, like, there's so many different organizations. If you say this, you piss this person off. You say this, you piss that person off. Like, and it's like, where do I fit?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I think that that's part of it is being a poet and being able to even write about that.
yeah,
So I
exactly.
think that that's more of just like you were saying to get stuff out there. There's, I don't know. I can just speak for me. Like, even when people say there's nothing to write about or they have like writer's block, and you had mentioned earlier, like life is like poetic, and it's like you just kind of can look around or read the news and there's tons of things to talk about, but then people don't really, I don't know if they feel like people aren't interested or they feel like they're going to be looked at a certain way, but people don't really want to talk about that. It's kind of like the,
It's a little taboo or something.
yeah, or just the same categories like
Yeah,
love or heartbreak or family or
yeah.
stuff like that. But
I think it's good to think outside the box. Once
mhm,
I had run into a poet who was a veteran. He was in the military, and his whole thing was writing about that type of thing.
mhm,
It was
yeah,
all related to that. But one time I challenged him to write outside the box. I think it's really important for us to right outside our comfort level too, and to delve into other things. But he couldn't do it. I mean, I said
No,
write about love, kind
right.
of take out that component, and he wasn't able to do it. Sometimes when I have a little block, I'll ask somebody else, give me a title, you know,
Yeah, something to just write about.
and then I
Yeah.
write about it, yeah,
And
because
it's so many different, like I don't think outside of that competition, I never really thought much about hunger. And I guess as I'm saying it, part of the answer may be because you don't think people care to hear it, like, which is, another thing. If I feel like like if we were to show a TV show and one was about a person who fell in love and got their heartbreak and recovered, and the other one was about a person who was starving, like most people want to go to the heartbreak one. And, maybe that's part of the reason why, is because maybe some people just don't like seeing some of these things. But anyway, my whole point was is that even, I never really thought about doing a hunger poem, and then this competition came out, and then once I did it and started to see the impact, it's made me start thinking about why didn't I do more of these things. And that's kind of where I branched off to some of these other topics, because
who
I
was
think
who was in charge of that hunger thing?
the
Was
world
it,
food.
was it Hiram LaRue? Was
Yeah, yeah, he was part of it too. Yep, yep,
I was
yep.
gonna say he's been on my show before,
Shout out
him
to him.
and yeah, and
Boy,
Brian,
that
yeah,
hunger.
yeah, they've been on my show before, and I know that's why I thought you were talking about hunger. So I thought, I wonder if that's Hiram. So because he's done a lot for that cause.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So
yeah,
that's how I ended up meeting him. And not only that, but that's my other thing, is like there has to be some type of, I don't want to say like spokesperson, but just like we're talking about, like
yeah,
domestic violence is a huge issue.
yeah,
Mental health is another huge issue. I've done
yeah,
like a social work poem,
yeah,
done all of those type of poems, and it's like trying to even find what organization can I
yeah,
like
yeah,
pitch this to, because I think it invite so many different populations. And
yeah,
obviously I could go on and on about this forever, but that's another reason why I started doing music, because I kind of look at my poetry as from like the consumer standpoint. Okay, you're at the same place every time, like can you go somewhere else? All right, let's start there. Okay, all it is just you saying poems, like I'm tired of hearing your voice. Okay, well, what if I put music in here? Oh, now it's like, oh, cool. I don't just have to hear your voice. I can hear a beat. Or well, what if I could get somebody to sing a part of my poem and
yeah,
like singing?
yes,
It's like, oh, well, this person singing is something I'll remember from the poem. And so
yeah,
just trying to add each of these elements, because I think that the more elements you could have, like imagine if we had like like a song for like hunger, and then there was a beat
right.
for hunger, and then somebody singing, just kind of like all these commercials that we see all the time.
Yeah.
I
I've
know.
written a lot about those things too. I was a forensic nurse examiner for many years, and so I dealt with hundreds and hundreds of domestic violence victims and rape victims, and people of abuse and violence and things. So I've written about those matters, whether in song, lyrics I've written, or poetry I've written about war, written about equality, humanitarian things, which are those things that are good for us, and that are powerful for us to. Sometimes I think that we are behind basically an enlightenment kind of uh,
Mhm.
forefront as far as our ability to enlighten people. Sometimes to other people's point of views. They may not hold another point of views, but the wise are able to listen to the views of another and to put themselves in someone else's shoes, even though it might not be their truth, but to listen
Right,
to another's truth.
right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah. And you're wise beyond your years,
I
so
appreciate that.
yeah,
And it's
yeah,
tough because sometimes you don't know, like, what a lot of it is just stuff beyond us, right? Like, I was just thinking as we were talking about just a little jingle, like everybody knows, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
yeah,
And it's
yeah,
like, that just that little thing that they've just spent
yeah,
so much time, like, and
yeah.
why can't we have something like that for some of these other topics where, is it because of commercials, or I'm pretty sure somebody's come up with a clever thing
Mhm.
about like mental health, or being sick or going to a doctor. I know there are a few, but I think if there was, just that's where I say it's our responsibility as a poet, because people are going to be people, and we have to figure out how to reach them. And that's kind of what my poetically correct brand, I guess, is about, and what I strive to do is figure out how to a way to reach everybody.
Yeah, yeah, right. You were talking about State Farm. It was just a day or two ago. I was saying to my friend where it was a commercial, insurance commercial. What is it? Pro, pro, uh, one that has popular ones. Progressive,
Yeah, yep,
progressive.
yep, could be.
And what I said was this. I says it's funny because most of these clever insurance commercials don't even discuss insurance. That isn't even the crust of the
Right.
commercial. It is a random thing about something that might be humorous, has
Yep.
nothing to do with
Do with it.
insurance.
No, yep.
And so it's kind of like, it's kind of weird to me. You're not,
You're absolutely right on that.
it's kind
Because
of
I'm
weird.
thinking about a few now, and it's like, yeah, it doesn't even mention a car per se. Okay,
Nothing.
person can,
Yeah.
but nothing about it is a car.
Nothing. Their services. They might, yeah, who knows? It's just weird. But yeah, the power that we have. So what do you think that we can do as poets to get poetry more out there and to get it more in the forefront of literature again? It's kind of, I think, taking a back seat, you
Yeah,
know. Yeah.
I think just using it more. I think that's the biggest thing I can think of. Like we were just saying, with insurances or any brands, any companies,
Right.
um, just inviting it more. I think small business ideas or meetings, having business meetings, maybe open up with something like that, or bigger initiatives, having somebody come in to do a poem. I think just doing that more, I think will
Mm.
be effective. But then I think also, like I was saying, is that, and I don't want to speak for everybody because again, I'm not the poet spokesperson, but I think poets have to be open to expanding, or like you were saying, that person who couldn't write about that different topic. Like if people are going to say they have this need, and the poets have to be able to meet that need and be willing to go out there and do things that may make them uncomfortable or
Mm.
may stretch their imagination some. So I think that's the biggest thing that we can do, is not being afraid, or again worried about how is this going to make me look if I do this, or
Mm.
do that. And I think it doesn't matter. Your art is your art, and you have to stand on it, and you know not worry about what other people are going to say, right? Because if you don't do it, then it's going to be people who say, oh, well, why didn't you do this? And then if you do it, why did you do that? So I think it's a double-edged sword, and you have to find your niche in whatever
Yeah.
is comfortable.
There's been a couple initiatives and ideas that I've had to put it together on a grand scale as far as people's exposure to poetry. And
Mhm.
there was a time where I got people together to try to maybe make that come into fruition. It'd be something that I would have to pitch, and I could never get enough people to just see the vision. And because I think that if we expose it more, it's out there more, it will be popular. People will watch it. Because on America's Got Talent, there was a
Yeah.
poet who won, right?
Yep. Yep.
And, and at the inaugural events when
Yep.
presidents, there's always poets that come up with these marvelous and then become well known because
Yep.
of their poetry. So I think that it has a place. I think that many people would be interested. I don't know if you're aware of Johnny Carson. Do you remember Johnny Carson or hear of Johnny Carson, The Tonight Show? Yeah. So it used to be one of the most popular people on TV. He had a late
Uh-huh.
night show, had all the stars, and whether it was music or movies, or he'd have the big people on. But he would occasionally have these cowboy poets,
Okay.
and it was marvelous to listen to. They were very often very humorous, the poetry they come up with. And so if you ever get a chance, go onto
Check
YouTube
that
and
out. Yeah, I
John
will.
Carson and Cowboy Poets, because it's just amusing to listen to. And
Hmm.
anyway,
And
I'm
I know
going
they
to,
used to have like the Deaf Poetry Slam events that used to be on TV, and I don't know if it's stuff like that around. I think maybe there is. Maybe I don't know the name of one now, but I think yeah, on a bigger
yeah,
type of platform where it could be something, just like what you were describing,
yeah,
with like a comedy show, like a or an environment just for that, and maybe that could be something where it turns into something bigger. Because I think the one is there, people will latch on to it. They just need to see it a lot more, I think.
yeah. It's just exposure to it, you know. I said something about death that it reminded me. Hiram LaRue, and I don't know if you knew about this, but it was one of his dreams, and he had it done, was to have um, a deaf person do his poem in sign language. So there's
Hmm.
a video. Have you ever seen that, or you know of it? Yeah. So
No, I
there's a
didn't.
video of that of them perform this guy performing his poem in sign language, and
Mm,
it's interesting to watch it because the interesting part is that how he could get so emotive with the sign language, and he's signing and doing
yeah.
all this stuff, and it was just a beautiful thing to see.
Mhm.
It was great. But I want you to share some more of your poems. Could you do four pieces for us, and
Yeah.
kind of come up with an ending one that you might want to end on? But if you could share four more of your poems, we can come back and chat for a little bit. And
Yeah, I know which one I want to end on, so I'll save that one.
okay,
Here, this one is called Lines. Um, this is also another one that I actually just did a poetry video for now, and huge shout out to my guy Waze, who does a lot of my beats, and now I've kind of gotten him to sing on a few things too. So we got a lot of things coming up in the future. But anyway, he's doing a lot of the part of this. He's singing on it, so you have to check the video out. But I'm just going to share my poem part of it. Scared to write cause my paper might break. I write so long my hand starts to begin to shake like an earthquake. I lost all control, so I'ma sit back and watch my hand just go. Survivor's remorse, I never had that. If I wasn't here, the best poet alive, you would have never had that. Because I am that, and I'm here for a reason. If not, I wouldn't be here for the season. A watch phone doesn't ring. Oh, what a tangle web we weave when we decide to deceive. Walter Scott. I don't believe in having writer's block because that's a topic in itself, whether you know it or not. People say don't get big headed like your head was swole up in knots. I know where I'm headed is big, and it doesn't matter if you know it or not. Your own people never do anything to support your brand. The people who you never meet end up being your number one fan. Why that is something I'll never understand. Some people do it to be the best. Some people do it as a hobby. Your biggest fan is somebody you never met, and your closest friends treat your expertise like you're a nobody. And that's the end of that one.
excellent. Thank
Um,
you.
let's see. Another one is called Maybe. This will be coming out pretty soon too. Maybe. Maybe I'll stop. Maybe I won't. If I do, then the haters get exactly what they want. And I really can't let them win. So I guess maybe I'll do it again. Ways is back and so am I. People wonder why. This is just my blessing from the most high. This is just a lesson for you to live by. Seize the day because tomorrow isn't promised. People can tell you what you're capable of, but it doesn't matter if within yourself, you're not honest. We live in a production world, not in one off a promise. Mental health matters, but we bully people every day, especially if they don't behave in similar ways. I hit a nerve there, so I'll just look the other way. And substance abuse is a problem, except when we're in the club. Feeding that addiction is all we think of. Gambling is a problem until it's promoted at a game. When your favorite player isn't scoring, you never look at them the same. No need to explain because people don't understand. And that's exactly how those who get it stay with the upper hand. Handouts, heads up, counting on you to believe what they say so you just give up. Easy to deceive when you follow the masses. And if you don't know the word, you can be led to hell by a Catholic or Baptist. When you can't redirect, you allow people to become average. And you aren't necessarily smart because you live a lifestyle that's lavish. Maybe I'll stop. Maybe I won't. If I do, then the haters get exactly what they want. And I really can't let them win. So I guess maybe I'll do it again and do it again.
Excellent. Loved it. Loved it. Keep
Thank you.
going.
And let's see, we did that one. This one is called POET. Things had to slow up like inclement weather conditions. Comprehension, retention, and my poetry catalog is getting kind of sickening. Making so many poetry videos, people think I have an addiction. And I'm writing way more than a doctor does for daily prescriptions. I currently am what a lot of people are wishing. Rhyming needs repairing, and I'm here to start doing some fixing. More pages of poetry than a Craigslist listing. Stuck on this mission, and leader is my position. Poetry in my possession. Feeling like I'm the best to do it. Is that really a question? I'm Aaron R., and that's who I choose to be. A lot of poets out there are scared to show their poetry, but not me. A lot of people are scared that they'll get teased, but not me. A lot of people are worried about the people they won't please, but not me. I'm in a competition with myself. The only person that can be better than me is myself. Overcame other people, so I stay in my lane. Poetry in different colors while theirs stays plain. Different versions of myself, but they stay the same. I'm just me, the POET, with poetry. It's just me, the POET, Aaron R., the superstar. Reach for the clouds, so if you missed it, at least you land amongst the stars. People want to get to success speedily like fast cars, but life isn't NASCAR. How many times do I have to have a chip on my shoulder? How many times do they doubt until it's finally over? Poetry exposer, poetry composer, poetry promoter. Aaron R. the poet, you know I've already told you. When they know you're special, they'll do anything to hold you. I talked about it forever, and now it's my time to show you. It's just me, POET.
POET. Indeed. Wonderful.
And the closing one is called This Life I Lead. I'm only human and my emotions change. People's perceptions of me and mine, they haven't always been the same. I've never quite been the type to automatically conform to the norm because being like everybody else, well, that's not how creativity is formed. And I wasn't formed to be like the norm. And out of that shell, my reality was formed. That I have words to give, and I do believe that you too have just as good as a gift as me. And two is better than one, so imagine what we could be collectively. The more the better, respectfully. Large groups could change this nation's trajectory. Some people do this for show. This isn't part of that act. You'll always be remembered for how you treat others and not for your alternative facts. Thank you.
Excellent. Bravo. Can't believe how wonderful your words are and impactful, and you have great insight and depth. So
Thank you
it's
so
been
much.
so great to have you on here. I'm so happy that you agreed to come on here and share your poetry with us and let others experience Aaron. So thank you so much for agreeing to it. It's been a true pleasure and honor to have you on here. And best wishes in all your poetry
Likewise,
endeavors.
you too. It's been a privilege too. Thank you for thinking of me and bringing me on. And I'm sure we'll be in touch and keep this poetic discussion alive.
Exactly. Thank you so much again, Aaron. Love and blessings to everyone. Thanks for watching this, and please share with others so they too can learn about Aaron and his marvelous poetry. So take care. Thanks again, Aaron. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.